As soon as they have a system, they think I can scale it. I can go big and I can step back. But the problem is most people have a restaurant, they go open 3 restaurants, they find out they failed, they go bankrupt. Why? One restaurant was working. Because they missed between a system to scaling, you have to have something called automating. Automating is when the system itself work itself out without me being there. Get the right people so you can automate. So from the system, you have the automation. Then you can step back and scale to your maximum capacity to market it. Once you have the strategy, the structure, the system, the automation, the scale, then you have sustainability.
Welcome to the Path to Passive podcast, where we talk about building wealth and empowering lifestyle through commercial real estate investing for tech professionals. I always wish that other tech professionals reaching financial freedom had documented their journey along the way, so I'm doing it for the rest of us. Join us as we explore stories, many failures, and lessons learned along the way. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. Mr. Cherif Medawar, thank you so much for being here on the podcast. It's really an honor to have you here. It's really cool to have someone here with your experience investing, of course, in the US, but also in Puerto Rico, where you do a lot of stuff as well. And we'll get into all those things about investing in US and Puerto Rico, but your story is really kind of fun. Working in hotels and having met this, you can fill in the gaps here, but meeting a billionaire who saw the amount of effort that you have and say, hey, come work for me. And that kind of kicked things off for you, right? The next 8 years to go and work and learn and just get so much experience and lessons from this person for you to go out and start your own education company to help others repeat this cycle of mentorship and just continue that flywheel, that loop. And you've served so many people over the years here and continue to do so. Such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Cherif.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more. What is that story like? How was that to work in a hotel and get spotted by someone else to say, hey, come work for me? What was that like?
It was great, but there are certain things you have to do to kind of position yourself to get lucky in life. For instance, I chose a large city, Los Angeles. I chose the best hotel I knew of, which was the Century Plaza Hotel at the time in the early 80s. It was known as the most perfect hotel in the world. Actually, people can Google this and see. It was called also the Western White House because Ronald Reagan used to stay there, presidents used to stay. So it was set up to accommodate very high dignitaries, etc., when they come to the West Coast. So I was in this perfect Western hotel, 5 stars, 5 diamonds with great systems. And that's what I wanted to learn. I didn't expect to meet a billionaire that will change my life, but I wanted to learn so badly that I worked very hard. I believe in the early stages of life, you got to work for the money and work as hard and as smart as you can to learn everything. And that's when he spotted me and stopped me in the lobby one day and said, Cherif, I've noticed you work here from 6 a.m. to 11, 12 midnight. Are you crazy? What are you doing? So that's when I said, I don't know if you noticed, I have a golden name tag. He said, yeah, what does that mean? I said, that means they identified me as a potential general manager. So I'm in the management trainee program. And if I work hard enough for 10 years, I may become a general manager. He looked at me like I was a little crazy, but I was in my little world. And he said, Cherif, I have opportunities for you. I can change your life. I need somebody like you with your enthusiasm and energy to work for me. I got a resort here. I got this over there. I got properties around the world. I don't want to travel that much. I think you could be my right-hand man. I can give you that chance. I remember looking at him in the lobby thinking, this is awesome, but I'm so scared. So I said, well, thank you for your trust, but I don't know residential real estate, no commercial real estate. You're talking big stuff. And he held me from my shoulder and he said, Cherif, you're at the right place at the right time. Just say yes. So with faith in God and in myself and in him, I said yes. And it changed everything. Because I went and I had to learn as I go and grow quickly to impress a man with very high standards. I mean, Harvard called him the man with 2 brains. He owned the castle in Europe, the Chateau de Madame de Pompadour in the Loire Valley, which was the center of France in the heydays. And from there, I was able to learn so much. And he was the master. I mean, your program is path to passive. And he truly mastered that through people and systems. Because he was constantly on a boat called the Azura in southern France. And he was constantly in Ile Saint Louis in Paris, which is, he bought the building of Elena Rubinstein with the lady with the makeup. So he bought gorgeous properties and managed things from a distance through the phone. So he would tell me, I want you to go to these people in Chicago and meet with this. I need you to do this deal in Martinique and the island. I need you to go and tell them this. And I had to learn as I go and ask the key people how to do certain things. And it took 8 years of my life to realize, oh my God, I can actually go do this on my own now. And that's how life changed. So it was an amazing journey that led to another journey, that led to another journey. And that's how life works.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go back and ask you about how you came to learn about positioning yourself there. But let's keep going on the story of this. So 8 years, right? Obviously, you learned a lot about real estate. You learned a lot about single family and commercial, and you invested ultimately to being this fund manager as well.
Yes.
But what are some of the lessons? Like, how much base knowledge did you have? Or was it just a sheer resilience of just, I've got to figure this out on your first couple years of those 8 years?
Okay, so the base has to be there because really there are three factors in life that make you make it. There is your nature. So what you inherited from your parents, your bloodline, if you will, like were your parents hard workers? Are you in an environment that tells you, okay, you need to make it and stuff? So the nature and then the nurture, which is the environment and how you actually are able to be nurtured into, I have ambitions, I want to make it. Some people don't even ever think of their potential. But when you're growing up, and I went to the Jesuit schools, the Jesuits are the Catholic division that manages the Vatican money, which is the wealthiest organization in the world, if you will. So they were drilled into us like, you need to know this, you need to do that, you need to do that. We would start at 8 in the morning, finish 4 p.m., very intensive classes and stuff. And then the third thing, nature, nurture, the third thing is the decisions you make, the choices you take.
Yes.
So I made the choice. I wanted to be in the hotel business because I saw it in my mind as a lot of fun and an opportunity to grow, whether I'm in Seattle, Los Angeles, New York, Singapore, anywhere in the world. Hotel business is based on serving people. You got to know people. You got to know numbers.
Yes.
So some basic truths, like the first principle of anything. And in the business, if you know people and you know numbers, so you now know the operations and you know the numbers, you know finance, the rest is marketing. So when you work in a big organization, they do the marketing. Yeah. So then you're just benefiting from the customers coming in. You do the best job, you will move up and you will. So I thought it was going to be fun, and putting joy in what you do is the key to life, is to take it like it's a game. When I went there, I chose Los Angeles because I had uncles in Los Angeles and stuff. And then working in the hotel, I just wanted to learn. And I noticed him. So pay attention. If in business you observe, you will fill the voids of knowledge by accurate observation. And I saw him that he had his own Rolls Royce, which was a special made Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is from English. It's English from Britain. And he had the designer, Pininfarina, the designer for Ferrari, fly to the British factories, design a special Rolls Royce Camargue for him. This is special Rolls Royce. This is in the late 70s, early 80s. And he had it shipped, approved for California to be driven. So whenever he flies to the hotel, he can drive his own car. That's how wealthy he was. This is the 80s. You could count the billionaires on probably one hand. And he was a very low-key man. He did not need to impress anybody. He just flew in to do business. And he noticed me, and I noticed him. We had small chats. But all these are things that you pay attention to. So my first conversation with him was, I said to him, I saw your car. This is a special made Rolls Royce by Pininfarina. He was so surprised. It was very late at night. He had arrived from Paris and wanted to get an apple. And we had a chat. It was 2 a.m. I was closing the restaurant. I was a management trainee. And we had a short chat. So it caught his attention. The next thing is I had him sign the Apple. This is 1980, 81, something like this. The Apple was $2.25. Century Plaza Hotel was very expensive.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I'll have to bill it to your room. What's the room number? He told me later on that when he checked out a couple days later and he saw that the Apple was charged, he was very impressed. He said, that's the guy I want to work with. He didn't build rapport with me and gave me a free Apple. That guy is taking care of Western hotels. He's doing his job with fiduciary responsibility. He paid more attention to me and he realized how I was interacting with staff and how people interacted with me, saw me all over the place working here and there, that's when he said, I want to try this guy working for me. And the rest is all putting your best effort and putting joy in what you do, not stress, because you can really stress yourself with everything you do, or you can find the fun part of it.
Yeah. You have mentioned there's sort of three layers, three levels. There's yourself, your mindset. You have to stay positive. You have to keep going, that resilience. You've talked about values right here. You've also talked about skills. Skills will lead to action, those behaviors, and those would be the results.
Yes.
And also talking about this from network being the third thing.
Yes.
Right. And so
well,
and there. But you also say, you often say that money is in the structure.
yes.
Now, people hear different things in real estate. Just there's so much knowledge there, but clarity is what's really needed.
Yes.
You know, you might say you make money when you buy or something like that. So you're talking about money is in the structure. For
Yes.
someone who thinks money is in the deal or in the asset, what are they missing? What are you talking about? Money is in the structure.
Okay, so the first thing is you have a strategy of some sort. So my strategy was I need to get into an ideal scene of some sort. The ideal scene is to work for Century Plaza Hotel and get them to accept me as a management trainee. So whatever is going to take for me to get there. So first you have a strategy, or I want to invest and make money. So first step is the strategy. As soon as you have a strategy, you have to have a structure. How am I going to get that done? So the structure is I'm going to prepare my resume. I'm going to present myself professionally. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be an employee. That's going to be the structure. If I'm in business, I want to have an LLC because a limited liability company, I'm going to actually pay less taxes by flowing through some expenses and doing this. So the structure, it elevates to a level where you become, in the real estate world or in the business world, you become a fund manager. You create a real estate fund or a business fund where other investors invest with you without you going public. That is the highest level for an individual to perform in business or in real estate. Most people don't even think of that because people don't know what they don't know. But when you work for a billionaire and you can ask questions, the quality of your life is in direct relation to the questions you can actually vocalize and come up with, because you're observing there is something I don't know. So you have to come up with the question. The process of thinking is something happens. What does it mean? What should I do about it? That's how we think. What's happening? What does it mean? What should I do about it? So if I don't understand the meaning or what is exactly happening, so to even give it meaning, I have to ask the right questions of the right people, validate and verify for myself.
Yes.
So that part is very important. So you have the strategy and then the structure. Once you have a structure, you have to have a system, which is a process that will give you predictable results. If I do this and this, I'm going to have this. If let's say we're talking about cooking, you're going to tell me, okay, how are you going to get that cake? I got to get so much flour,
That's right.
many eggs.
Recipe.
Okay, so the actual system. The problem people make is as soon as they have a system, they think I can scale it. I can go big and I can step back. But the problem is most people have a restaurant, they go open 3 restaurants, they find out they failed, they go bankrupt. Why? One restaurant was working. Because they missed between a system to scaling, you have to have something called automating. Automating is when the system itself works itself out without me being there. How could that happen so I can get to the path to passive and growth? The only way to do it is through the structure of 5 Ps. The people. I got to get people in that know what they're doing, interested, incentivized, and we're going to get it done. I have to have the right projects assigned to them so actually they're able to understand how to do their job. I have to have good positioning so I can attract business and keep it coming. I have to have a unique selling proposition of what I do. Then I have to have good performance. I have to make sure that the systems are being complied to. Look at McDonald's. They can hire a 16-year-old kid, comes over. He doesn't have to think how much fries to put. The scoop is there because the actual performance is done through certain tools. So when you have the people, you have the tools, you have the also people, the actual projects, the actual positioning, the performance, and then you have profits. Because if you don't have profits, you don't have anything. If there is one word in business or in investing that's the most important word, it's profit.
Profit.
Get the right people so you can automate. So from the system, you have the automation. Then you can step back and scale to your maximum capacity to market critical mass. Some people can scale like I scaled to 100 million. When I reach 100 million in my real estate fund, I don't want to scale anymore. I have my own inventory of properties, historic property. I'm the largest owner in Old San Juan, where the cruise ships arrive. But it's a 100 million portfolio. When it goes over, I sell a few properties. We just sold 10 properties and dropped it to 82 million. We'll probably buy a couple more. But the point is, 100 million is my capacity. I like to sleep at night, like to take vacations, take care of my kids, etc. Some other people want billion and it's not enough, and 2 billion. So that's important. So once you have the strategy, the structure, the system, the automation, the scale, then you have sustainability. Something that you can step back and enjoy its growth, to either sell it to somebody else or to keep it and pass it on to your loved ones. And that's really the process that I've used, and money is in the structure. If you just, so what is the structure? To grow after that is real estate funds. Set up the structure and everything is housed in it with the right people, etc.
That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Oftentimes we talk about people, process, and the technology, and you've broken that with a few more distinctions. And so people have heard about syndications and heard about funds for a couple times in the show, but I would love for you to talk about the fund structure, and if this sounds like this is the highest leverage or structure that you have found. You've launched funds in 2009, 2015, and more,
Yes.
right? So you know this very intimately. What is a fund and why is this the highest leverage sort of structure?
Excellent. So the whole idea of setting up something like this, the right structure, is to be a win-win. So you want to win. The people that you're going to attract to invest with you got to win. And the third level is the communities, what you're doing out there to the greater world. It's like you're aligning all the dynamics of life, privately, professionally, for the group that works with me, for humanity, if you will. And if everything is aligned, you're making the best decisions. So let's just define some words. A syndication is when an individual groups a bunch of investors, gets their money pulled together to invest it in a project. A syndication means they're going to take the money and put it in one project, one business, or one apartment building, or one storage facility. So it's a one asset syndication. Usually it's an equity syndication, meaning they're going to tell the investor, I'll pay you so much of the cash flow from this apartment building, for instance, and in 5 years, we're going to sell it. We predict we're going to sell it for more because we're going to do this and that. And we're going to share the profits, 70% of the gain to you investors, and 30% for us, the syndicator. There's a flaw with that structure, that a lot of people do it, but they have a flaw. The flaw is they have to sell the building within 5 years because they're telling the people, I'm going to pay you from the upside. And if they don't sell it, somehow, like I've seen that structure where a guy says, I'm going to refinance, pay you as much back as possible, then they still have to take the money out and pay the investors, but they're still making, the syndicator is making a little bit of the cash flow and has to eventually sell it to get the big cash out, because he cannot get paid from refi unless he pays everybody back or she pays everybody back. So it's a problem there. The better structure is a real estate fund. And the real estate fund allows you to not just pull the investors and take their money for one structure, for one deal. You can do in the real estate fund like a mutual fund. You can do storage facility. You can do mortgage notes. You can do tax liens, tax deeds. You can do residential flipping, wholesaling. You can do it in all-encompassing fund and do it as a debt fund, not as an equity fund, whereby you tell the investors, if you give me, let's say, I'll give you an example of how I do it. I help people set up and I say, have them put minimum 25,000 to 250,000. They'll get paid 6% per year. They put more than 250,000, they get 8% per year. So it's a fixed return. Investors, a lot of investors love it because every 6 months they get paid 4%, and then 6 months later, 4%, and they can compound their money. Mm-hmm. We even create something called Class C shares, which is a hybrid. If you give me more and commit to longer time, I'm willing to give you 10%. So now the fund manager is paying them a fixed return they can rely on, and they can take the projects, put some of their own money, get bank money, and do these projects that they take an apartment building and a storage facility. When they improve the value of the buildings, eventually they can refinance and do other deals, or refinance and cash out all the investors and keep the properties for themselves. So the fund manager ends up helping the investors, and helping themselves by creating a legacy for their family and for their kids. They never have to sell. And anytime they refi, they don't have to pay the investors. They can take the money, buy other buildings. They can actually, if one investor want to cash out, they don't have to tell the investors you're stuck for 5 years. They can cash out the investor within a few months. They can say, I can cash you out with a 12 months notice, because with a debt fund, you can actually raise more money from another investor and cash out this one. Like a refi, I'm refinancing Chase to pay Wells Fargo. So the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission that regulates this type of activity, deals with debt funds completely different than syndications and equity funds, etc. And I specialized on this 15 years ago, and I've been helping people set up, whether for business, we helped a couple of people, Silicon Valley, taking their company to the private offering. It's not public, private offering, raise money, and they grew like crazy. Because what happens usually when you're successful? You want to scale. So what stands in the way? If you have the people and you have the system, what stands in the way? The money. I want another location. I want another building. And that helps you show people, look what we've done here on a small scale. We're ready to grow. You want to grow with us? We're going to talk to you and you and you, and then they come and join you. So Beautiful. I specialized in helping people get to that level through my education company, which I set up 25 years ago. And it's been a great journey because I learn as I teach.
Yes. And you've talked about how you're actually learning twice because you have to get so much better when you teach as well, right?
I'm impressed with how much you've done research on me. This is pretty good stuff. I know I have a lot of videos out there, but you really, I'd say for all the people that interviewed me, you're the most accurate in your questions. I really appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Cherif. I appreciate that too. And thank you for breaking down syndication versus the fund there. Now, speaking of just story to the next step, I mean, you were working for this billionaire and doing these multi-million-dollar deals. And then you went to buy your own, the duplex, the $360,000 or $315,000 down to $300,000 with your own money. But this brings up, we talk about funds and you going to raise capital here. And so one of the things, it's like, okay, cool. But not many people are used to asking other people for money.
Yes.
What do people need to know? What did you learn about how to go ask others for capital? How did you flex that muscle? What challenges did you have? How did you break through those?
Very good point. A lot of people are not used to asking people for money because a lot of people don't sell. An accountant doesn't sell. A lawyer doesn't sell. They sell very little. They sell their service. They sell maybe their ethics and whatever, that, hey, I can perform this and that. But to really be able to sell yourself, your projects, your structure, and raise capital, attract people, the 3 levels, like we talked earlier, is yourself. First, you build yourself to a level that's going to attract people. So you have to have the knowledge, you have to take massive action, and you have to network. So when you raise yourself to the level of high knowledge, you have better judgment. So to select the right properties, talk to the right people. So it's a qualification game in life. Second level is have the skills. So you have to take action to perform and take your talent into a great set of skills. And the more you do, the better your skill level becomes. Then people can see your results, what actions you're taking, what results. Look, we've done these projects in the past and we've done this. We'd love for you to join us in this other project. Now you're showing your results based on the skills you have. Number 3 is the fact that you have to network. So the networking increases your luck factor. So if you've increased your value to be able to tell people this is what we've done and the results we've had, when you network, your luck will be very high. The return on your effort to convert them to come in will be very high. So I train people, actually, when we set them up with a fund, I spend the full day, and that's a lot of fun for me because I train them on how to talk to people one-on-one, to take a normal conversation, convert it into a presentation, convert it into a pitch to get them interested into your fund. That's number 1. And then how to present for groups of people, because I've done a lot of presentations on a platform for years. I've done public presentations where they're pitches, where I invite them to come to trainings for $3,000. Then I invite them to come to a training program, $35,000, where they would fly to Puerto Rico to meet me in Puerto Rico, where I'm based because of tax reasons and my investments there, etc. They would fly in. So I'm used to presenting to groups and present it in a way that when you present for a real estate fund, for instance, we talk about, here are the people involved in this. This is me and the team. Here are the projects we do. So now the person, you're talking to the voice inside their head. Person's thinking, well, who is involved in it? Oh, so what do they do? See, so then I talk about the people, the projects we do, how different we are, the positioning we have in the market, and then the performance. What do we do with the money? When we take the money, we're going to take this apartment building, convert it into a hotel. We're going to take this hotel, convert it into a medical facility. So we explain the performance. What is the actual actions going to be taken with the money? And then we talk to them about the profit. So we're raising, this is an open fund because it's a real estate fund. We're doing these different projects. So your money is invested, whether 25,000 or 2.5 million, is not in one project where the risk is very high. Your risk is lower. There is always risk, but it's reduced because the actual assets that we have, we are diversified in three ways: by location, by type of assets, and by style of investing. We buy, fix, and sell. We buy, refinance, and hold. We buy, improve, and add value and split the upstairs. So then the people sitting there feel like, I have a fear of missing out. I want to join. And you can get them at 25,000 to invest with you with steady returns, 6% a year, or you can get them at 250,000 where they get 8% a year. Or somebody comes in and says, but I have a lot of money. I like what you have. And I show people how to set up with no fees. You don't charge the investors an acquisition fee. You don't charge the investors a management fee. You don't charge the investors a disposition fee. It's no fees whatsoever. So unlike syndications where they charge people upfront money and all this to make money, it's no fees. We earn the return. You get this, the rest is ours. When we sell the property, all the upside is ours. They don't care. They're getting paid and they can compound their returns. And by the way, 8% compounded semi-annually every 6 months as we pay them becomes 12% annual rate of return 10 years later, becomes 20% annual rate of return 20 years later. And these are open-ended funds that we set up investors for 100 million each after the training that they take, and they're really capable to go perform. I have so many success stories. I have over 1,000 video success stories on YouTube because I've been doing this for so long. So I know I went off on a tangent, but I just wanted to explain how exciting that is.
Beautiful. I love the point too about the returns as well and how they compound. Sometimes people make the comparison of the stock market versus, and say it's 8 to 10% on average. Like we know, volatility is the killer, and compounding is the other part that's so powerful here.
Yes.
Right. But you've also mentioned here a couple of times about going to, how you have your education company and help people interested in the space to go raise capital and really the strategy, right? Pivoting here, because I think this is such an interesting topic. You've been one of the largest historic property owners in Old San Juan since 2004.
Yes.
What brought you there to begin with?
Believe it or not, so I was working for Hilton Hotel. So when I started with the billionaire, I worked with him. Then I left him and I started doing my own deals. And I figured maybe I can also work with Hilton because I was in Southern California and I opened the Del Mar Hilton in North County, San Diego. So I was working with the hotel and doing my real estate on the side. Both were growing. My career was growing. And then I ended up being VP with Hilton and in charge of certain projects where Hilton hotels will lose the management contract on a property. So they would send me there to work with the owners and the property to organize it because I was very good with systems and procedures. And they were opening the Embassy Suites Hotel and Casino, which is a division of Hilton Hotels. And because I was good with numbers, good with the casinos and stuff, they said, listen, we're having some challenges. We need you to go to Puerto Rico. Frankly, I had heard of Puerto Rico before, but I didn't know exactly where is it? I hadn't been there. So I'd gone there, loved the island. I was working so hard. Then one day, one of the managers there said to me, I'm going to Old San Juan. You want to come with me? You've been working in the hotel around the clock. You're staying in the hotel. You haven't seen the island. Let me take you to Old San Juan. 15 minutes away. We go from Isla Verde, it's right next to the airport, that hotel, to Old San Juan. And I look and I found out it's the oldest historic zone under US flag. It's where the cruise ships arrive. It's the third largest port in the Caribbean, all the Caribbean. And all these buildings were built by the Spaniards, the Portuguese, the French, and they're just beautiful. And they're controlled under the Washington, D.C. Preservation Department. They have to have different colors. They have to have certain integrity for the facades and the inside. And I said, this is amazing. What a beautiful area here. This is like anybody can fall in love with this. He said, yeah, all the cruise people come in and people start dropping here. There's a lot of tax incentives, but he didn't know what he's talking about. So I had finished with Puerto Rico project a year later or so, went to California, Northern California. I was in Santa Clara, California, doing real estate, and I was just phasing myself out from Hilton. But Hilton approached me. But what happened is I got the opportunity to hear from attorneys that to reduce my taxes as I flip properties, making millions, paying in 2002, paid like $1 million in taxes in the state of California. They told me, hey, listen, my CPA said to me, hey, you buy, you sell, there is a closing statement, there is nothing we can put. There is no tax deductions. You got to get an expert in tax deductions, whatever. So I started talking to attorneys. People would tell me set up offshore. I don't want to go offshore. I want to be in the shores of the United States. So it hit me that this guy had said, again, paying attention, is this guy had said to me in the car, there are a lot of tax incentives here, but I don't know what they are. So I was doing a training, a seminar event in Miami. And from Miami, it was like almost end of 2003. I flew to San Juan, Puerto Rico, went to Old San Juan and started asking people, do you want to sell? What are the incentives and all this? Make a long story short, finally, a broker told me, yeah, if you want to buy this building, the guy will sell. And I asked her about the incentives. She said, you seem like a nice guy. Meet with this attorney. I'll set up an appointment. The attorney was a retired judge. And I invited him for lunch. I kid you not, he drank an entire bottle of Opus One red wine. People drink. I had never seen somebody drink that much. I don't drink. So I was drinking Perrier. When he finished drinking, he started telling me about the tax incentives, that I can reduce taxes and this and all. But what attracted me was the combination of the investing in buildings where the cruise ship traffic, all the passengers pass in front and want to shop. So I figured I can bring big tenants there. And one of the biggest strategies, listen to me carefully now, I'll tell you how to make $1 million in the shortest period of time. One of the biggest strategies I've done was to find single tenant building, like standalone building, put them under contract, empty, call the national tenants and tell them, would you like to lease for 10, 15 years? And when they come in, because there is traffic, the property value goes from, let's say, $1.5 million to $2.5 million, $1 million to $1.5 million, 500,000 to $1.2 million. Why? Because Jack in the Box, Tommy Hilfiger, jewelry store, these people rent for 10 to 15 years and give you corporate guarantee, pay triple net. Property tax, property insurance, property maintenance, plus the lease. So when I saw the traffic coming off the cruise ships and many stores are closed and small mom and pops that want to retire, I talked to a couple of people, they say, I want out, but I have 2 more year lease. The guy doesn't want me out. Landlord is going to sue me. I said, oh my God, this is like it. Nobody's doing anything here. So I started buying and actually bringing big tenants and getting better tenants that are small operator, like startup jewelers that would lease long-term, fix the places. And because I had upstairs residential, I started doing short-term rentals before Airbnb even had come up. I didn't even think of the Airbnb concept. I just knew from a hotel background, if I rent them nightly, there was some approval I had to get from the local San Juan County. And I could actually exchange them with places in Europe when I want to travel. So just like it was a no-brainer. And then cruise ship business kept increasing and the place started growing. And I became a reckoning power in that area, buying historic buildings, improving them, bringing them to their historic integrity and making it happen. So it's really stages in life. But when I left the billionaire, first deal to do, I was very scared. Because it was like a transition. I was working with his money. Now I'm going to working with my credit line. I don't have money. I just have some credit lines. So that's every time you are growing, that is that uncomfortable feeling, doubt about your own confidence level. Will I achieve this and all this? And you just have to conquer yourself first. And as you conquer yourself, you're able to actually create something of value by being willing to win or fail with the same level of enthusiasm. But you just have to go outside that confidence that is a small kind of circle around you to expand it. Once you expand, if you're like, I like to share. So I said, I'm going to start training others. I'm going to show people what I learned. I'm going to make their life a little easier. I wanted to give. I didn't expect I will get back. But what happened is people started bringing me deals. And then in 2009, fast forward many years later, people said to me when the economy was very bad, 2008, 2009, I was showing people in San Francisco one time in a big event room, here's how I'm making money. I know the economy is bad, but look, I bought this property at this, sold it at that, did this, did that. And some guy raised his hand. He said, can I just give you the money and invest with you? I can't make mistakes. I don't have the time. I'm a software engineer. We're doing so well with our startup. And that's when I said, oh, how many people would rather invest with me? Like joking. And I raised my hand. And all of them raised their hands. I said, what am I doing? I thought I was so smart training people. They want to give me the money. So I set up the real estate fund in 2009 and we kept growing from there.
So you were still with the hotels while you were working for the billionaire?
Yeah, my base was in his hotel in Wisconsin called Olympia Resort and Spa. So I was based there and I was doing work for him, trading the market, doing some transaction. I'd fly in, do a transaction for him, let's say in Martinique, come back. I went to Paris several times because he had things going on there and I speak French fluently. So it was a great opportunity to not just see him in action, but learn and get direction from him. I need you to go do this. He wasn't a trainer per se. He wasn't a mentor. He was a doer. He would just go do something and then tell me, okay, you need to finish this or you need to start that. Go make an offer to this guy. He wants $1 million beachfront this. And when you put it under contract, do tax increment financing. I'm like, I don't even understand what tax increment financing is. So I'd have to call Leventhal and Horwath in Chicago, the people that were handling our accounting, and say, you need to explain to me this, because I was his right-hand man. Even though I was in my early 20s, everybody would just give me the answers, explain to me what I need to do and stuff. So really, I had to be very resourceful. And if you think about it in life, the first skill one must have is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge. The second skill is not to give up so easily, because every force that you have to move forward has a counter force to stop you, a doubt to stop you. Wonder, should I have gone this way or this way? Should I do this or that? Which is the right way to go? So once you can accept that I'm going to advance and figure it out, when I go to the next level, I'll figure it out, you will be able to conquer yourself, get people rallied up with you, and the situation. And there'll be so many problems, so many issues. He was not easy to deal with. He was very demanding. He would lose his mind when something goes wrong. But I stayed focused, and I loved the guy because he was very honest. And he started by working very hard. Then he went into the passive mode of, I'm going to enjoy life. I don't need to make more money. He went from the 3 stages of money are, I work for the money, the money works for me. And how does the money work for him or for me today is to have the assets, whether the assets are a business that performs like a high-tech company. My son is into AI and all this. So he's 18. That's what he's doing. He's in Santa Clara. He's in Silicon Valley. That's what he's doing. He's building these things with the agents that like the structure that he does. I did it with assets that are buildings that I knew when I get the building, put the tenants, hard work for a few months, put the tenant in, fix the building, and that's it. I step back. These tenants pay me for 10 to 15 years. They don't even talk to me. They send a direct wire in my bank account. There's nothing for me to do. They maintain the properties. So if you think of effort as if I can learn it and do it, I want residual return. Okay? And so really, how can I get an income that is residual? And then set it up in a way that compounds over time. Then you have the best way to build wealth. And if you're happy about what you're doing and you take care of yourself to be healthy, you figured out the 3 values of life: happiness, health, and wealth, which is not difficult at all. But people convolute their life by getting a lot of things. I just try to be a minimalist. I don't even wear a watch. I have Rolexes. I only keep them for their emotional value when I got them, the stage I was in life, or whoever gifted me this, or because it was an exchange of that. Somebody couldn't pay off the payoff of a mortgage note. And he said, we just bought this Rolex and you can have the Rolex. I'm like, okay, looks fine. He couldn't pay me anyway, stuff like that. But that's really the goal in life, is learn, apply, and then go into the passive mode. Otherwise, you can work yourself to death.
Yeah, the health, wealth, happiness. I wanted to ask, you said 3 levels. Working for money makes sense. You have to go acquire skills, trade your skills,
Yes.
and service for something. And then you said work. There was a second layer,
Work
work
the
the
money.
money.
Work the money. How do you work the money? You buy and sell assets. That's the fastest way to build money. So I buy a home at 400,000 because the person told me I need to sell. My wife is in the hospital. I'm gonna sell. We're downsizing anyway, but I need to sell. Can you close in 1 week? I'll give you 50,000 discount. And I tell the guy, okay, it's the comparable sales are 500, but the best I can pay is 400. I'm not playing games with you. And I know across the street sold at 5. And the guy said, look, I'm not paying a real estate commission. If you close quickly, for me, the 400 is better. I owe nothing else. I bought it for $100,000 so many years ago. You give me 4, you got yourself a good deal. Okay, I bought at 4, sold at 5. So in the beginning, I used to get credit line, cash advance on the credit card, put 100,000, get a loan, quickly turn around, sell, make 100 on my 100. Now I have 200. So now I do it again on a bigger deal. I have a deal right now is on Broadway Street. It's Broadway Street in San Francisco, 2725 Broadway. You come out to the balcony, have Nancy Pelosi's house. You can see her balcony where her husband got beat up. Sorry to say. And then across the street, there is Larry Ellison with 3 homes, John Paul Getty Trust, Steve Jobs' wife down the street bought it 70. We have that property. We're improving it. We may sell it sooner than improving it because we have an offer. But the point is, you build it all the way. Everything is in stages. So you work the money. But once you work the money, you have enough money, you can now buy some assets and then improve the cash flow. And now the money's working for you through an asset. See, so I believe in something like the third step is productive assets. Some people buy art. Art is not producing any income. I have to find somebody who's going to fall in love with the same piece of art to pay me more. Some people buy Bitcoin. Great. I talked to a guy a while back when he told me about Bitcoins that were at 5,000. I'm with you. It went up to 100 some thousand. God knows where it's going to go. But it doesn't produce income. So when Bitcoin was 80 some thousand, he sends me a private message on Facebook and he says, my son needs help. I know you have a lot of money. I know you have a lot of cash flow. Is there any way you can help him get entry level into this? And I said, my God, what you're holding he doesn't have a lot of Bitcoins. On average in the United States, the people that all hold Bitcoins, they have 8 Bitcoins. You can look at the statistic, but I think he has more. And I said, my God, you're still working as a CPA. You're holding a lot of Bitcoins and you can help your own son. I told you when it goes up, sell some, buy a building, gives you cash flow. It goes down again, buy some more, get a credit line against the house or the commercial building you bought and buy some more. You're going to do okay averaging that. He said, I can never time it. I just got to stay, but can you help my son? What skills does he have? He's going to come to the University of Cherif Medawar, then let him come to my trainings first, and then we can work it out. So it's not a productive asset. Get something that produces income. If you're going to buy land, maybe work with a developer to develop it and then stay along as partner, or then let them cash you out and go into something produces income. So first you work for the money, because during the effort of working for the money, like when I worked at a hotel, I was also learning. So it's a learning experience, how to sell, how to manage, how to work with people. And then I'm making some money so I can save a little, build credit. Then you work the money. The little money you have with some credit lines, then you get it. Now, how do you then elevate to the next level? You have the money work for you. And that's when you can be at that level where if you're working the money, like if I had to do my life over again, what would I do different? I wouldn't keep working the money for a whole decade. I would have actually worked it for a couple of years and set up a real estate fund. It would have cut my life by maybe 15 years. I really have the shortcuts that work, but the person that is doing it has to have the integrity to trust the system and the structure and do what he or she has to do, and the life changes.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for those examples. So I think about 2 quick questions here left. I want to be mindful of your time, which is, you've given great examples of those 3 tiers: the work for the money, work the money, and then have your money work for you. For people listing high income tech professionals, right? it sounds like for many of them, they've worked for money. They still are for a period of time, just like you were working hotels for a while,
Yes.
right? Before you were buying assets and working the money as well.
Yes.
Can you comment on this? It seems like the next right thing for the tech professional, the people listening, is to go work the money as well, and maybe also take some money that they have and go have that money work for them. Should they do those in parallel or just stay at level 2 until they graduate?
So when they are actually at level 2, which is now they have some money that they can work, they can buy and sell assets and all this. The people that are in the AI world or the technology world, they have some insight. They have some understanding of the technology and where the market is going way better than somebody like me, who is in the world of real estate. I can predict certain outcomes. What is the end goal of knowledge? Is to accurately predict an outcome. So they could work the money through getting into startups, getting into venture capital, angel investing, maybe investing then in themselves, working the money for themselves on the side, the startup, so long as it's not a conflict of interest with the company they work for, because there's sometimes that company makes them sign that, hey, we own you and whatever you think of and the technology you will create. So
Correct.
they can get exclusion for some things like that. That may be a great way for them to work it. And that's how they work the money to elevate the game. If you notice people like Elon Musk or Bezos, Jeff Bezos, what they did is they worked the money through private funding. They didn't go public. Like X is going public now, but he's already got a lot of investors. So they did the private funding, which I talk about, fund management. Private funding that helped them work their knowledge through the leverage of other people's money, and they built something so powerful that once they go public or once they actually take the private fund and buy an asset big time or get bought out, now their money will work for them for the rest of their life. They can buy anything. They can actually put it in the S&P 500 at 2% and let it compound forever and will do fine. And that's work the money is a very important stage because it's what bridges you between working for the money to having the money work for you. And I'd like to say one more thing. If you see most people, how they handle their income from people making 120,000, 150,000 a year, this is pretty decent money. When you see that person, you track them and track their expenses. The person, they do what? If they're single, they have a little condo, they have pets, they spend their time at work, they come home and they go out with their friends. The weekends, they relax. They're not adding extra layer of work to work the money. As a matter of fact, they practically spend all the money on great things. Little vacation here and there, nicer car, payments on the car, all this. So they think, I'm going to be promoted from the 120, I'm going to go to 150. That extra 30,000 is also going to be spent on new things that they like. Now I'm going to buy the Rolex watch. Now I'm going to buy I go from the truck to a nicer car. I mean, people brag about it on social media. They have this exotic car.
Lifestyle creep.
It's not. When I did the reverse, I worked harder, spent less, and invested. So that Herculean effort of having a full-time job that you're working for the money to working the money, that is the hardest part in your journey of life. Because most people get a job and they think, okay, now I got to move up through the ranks. Somebody has to recognize me. Well, recognize yourself.
Yeah.
The potential. So yeah, high-tech people have a huge advantage because they could not even become an expert in real estate, but can work with somebody else in real estate that says, the person says, I'm a contractor, I bought this home. They can say, I can come in and invest with you, but I'm busy in my job because I'm making good money. I'm building something here. We're doing AI, the next level, robotics or whatever. So let me work with you. And then they need to learn how to maybe loan so they have money secured against the property. They get a return when the property sells and do something to work the money. Next thing you know, they are growing with that individual. That's, again, the win-win.
Yeah.
So,
would you say that the coming to something like one of your trainings to start a fund and create a fund is also working the money?
Oh, for sure. Because starting the fund is the next level of, now I'm working the money. I want the money to work for me. And I'm going to create a structure where investors out there that have extra money sitting in IRA accounts or in a credit line of a home doing nothing, I'm going to show them how I can work the money for them. So they're going to help me have the assets work for all of us. And how are you getting that the money works for you is that when you buy a hotel, for instance, this guy's telling me, I want to go from apartment building to hotel. So we're doing training for him to set up the fund. And he said, but I don't know much about hotels. Here's the beauty about hotels. When you buy it, you already have a management team there. When you buy, if you get bigger, you buy it and you have Hilton run it for you. You have Marriott run it for you. You don't have to be. So now the money's working for you and you have the biggest companies in the world will manage it professionally. So you have a meeting once a quarter to get the numbers from Hilton representatives or Marriott. And believe me, I was the guy to meet with owners. And I realized many of them were in completely different industries. They inherited money, there was some insurance money or whatever, and they got into hotels. And I thought to myself, wow, if that person builds a fund, he can buy more hotels and he already has something at works, but he's only thinking of one hotel because he never thought of a real estate fund. People don't know what they don't know. So what you're doing...
Or they could work with operating partners who do that as well and raise money for them.
Yes, sir. And that collective effort, the bigger the pie, the bigger the money. Because the bigger the pie, the bigger the problems you can solve, or the bigger the number of people coming in to solve their problems. And if you solve a little problem, oh, the paper is stuck in the printer, I'm the one they call me when they have the printer stuck with the paper. That's a small problem you solve, you're going to make very little money. But you're solving the problem that all these workers in this company have stock options and have money saved because they make good money, but they're not investing it. I'm going to solve their problem. There's going to be 10 people coming with me. I'm going to set up this fund and we're going to go to that contractor and we're going to actually put the money. He's going to do the work, but I got the structure. The money is in the structure. Everybody's going to come into that structure and I'm going to have the money compound. And at the end, when the value of the buildings increase, I'll refinance, cash them all out, keep the building to pay me for the rest of my life. It's easier today in my life. I've been in Puerto Rico so many years. The building I bought some in 2004. Now it's 2026, 22 years later. I have a dozen buildings free and clear. The rest have very little debt. So yeah, it's much easier. I'm sitting in sandals all day. It's not a problem, but I have a great team that have grown with me. I had people that were single, they got married, they have kids. So through the years, as I grow, they grew personally and professionally. So that's the whole idea.
Perfect. Yes, you'll be rewarded based on the size and complexity of the problem you can solve.
Well said. Yes, exactly.
Cherif, real quick, 2 last questions.
Yes, sir.
First one is, what period of your career has tested you the most? What have you learned from that?
Period in my career that tested me the most. Okay, frankly, my wife had passed away 4 years ago. That was the most difficult part. She died suddenly. She had a brain aneurysm. And literally within 24 hours, she passed away. The difficult part is we were not realizing that we had a property in Cancun, Mexico, owned part of a hotel, and she put a will to pass it to the kids and me. And so it created such complications because then they said, oh, we have to check all of Mexico. We have to check if there is a will in Puerto Rico. We have to check if there is a will in the United States. I realized how big my setup was and the structure was so big, it overwhelmed the courts. It dragged for 4 years. I was in a process of refinancing. There was a lot of cash coming out. It got stuck with the banks. And, so I had to deal with my kids. They were young, 13 and 14. It was just like, really, if you want to face the darkest time, it was a combination of financial hold-up, personal situation, all this. But, sometimes you feel like all it takes is you just reflect back and say, okay, I'm going to take this one step at a time, reorganize things. I again started with, what's the ideal scene? How do I want this to end? Okay, I want it to be here. Where am I here? How do I get from here to? It's like a GPS, I'm here. Yes. I got to get there. So I got to handle the procurer of the Puerto Rico thing, then handle it in California, then handle it in Mexico, then sell these assets, combine this. And believe it or not, here we are 5 years later, and we're in the final stages of handling some things of it. But it was, when I look back, it was a great opportunity for me to continue paying off debt, force myself to go to the next level of being totally passive, because she had just passed away right after COVID. And so it was COVID a little bit hard, but I had plenty of assets and the tenants didn't want to leave, so it was okay. But it was just like, as if like preparing me for the big challenge. So that was a big personal, professional, financial challenge, but it worked out.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being open that, and Thank you. And the next one is, what was a time that was one of the most fun and amazing points of your career or your life?
I think the most fun, every day is fun. I actually try to make the most of every day. And I enjoy the fact that I've been blessed with massive amount of energy to do the work and enjoy what I do. So I try to make every day enjoyable, but the most fun was a couple years ago, actually, 2023, 2024, when my kids, I felt like they were at the next level. They were already very intelligent. I'm talking to them. They have processes in their head. They want to do this. They have the ambitions. And I felt, wow, this is amazing. And that was great.
Awesome. I thank you so much, Cherif, for being here. You've talked about, business and life being a spiritual game, not just these structures and these things. And, sharing all these multiple layers, I can really see that. And you talking about the energy coming through too. So
Thank you.
I appreciate you, honor you. Thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge and wisdom and being a mentor to all to listen.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for giving me the time.
You have so much education, so much stuff out there. Where would you like people to go to connect with you, learn more about you? Yeah, anything.
They can go to cmrei.com, which is Cherif Medawar Real Estate Investing. C like Charlie, M Medawar, R Robert, E Edward, I International.com. And they can go on YouTube. They can search Cherif Medawar, Cherif Medawar. And have many programs from starting into commercial real estate with practically very little money, which is the joint venture program to identify single-tenant buildings and assigning them to me, my fund. I train them. I do the training personally. Actually, we're doing one in a few weeks here. And the other one is if they're already doing deals, they want to elevate the game to set up their own real estate funds. They should really look at how we do it. I have in-house attorneys trained with the SEC. Have been with me 14 years. We have amazing success stories with that. And I do the full training with them. I help them set up literally turnkey structure, one structure for life. They don't have to keep setting up every time they want to buy a building. It's a beautiful structure. And the third thing is those who already build their wealth, if they want to have the best asset protection program, mine is the simplest, the most powerful. It's been tested. We have attorneys selling it in seminars at $25,000. We deliver it at $10,000, and it's the most airtight for people that are doctors. It even avoids people from having prenuptial agreements because it protects their assets for the future as well. So we have many great programs that actually have helped people grow and build some great relationships along the way.
Excellent. I'll make sure all those are in the show notes as well to go there and just click and go directly to them.
Okay, great.
I have to ask, on the creating a fund, you said if people are already doing deals, then the fund creation is an opportunity for them.
Yes.
Do they already have to be doing deals to create a fund?
Yes, they have to have, at least like they've done something that they can promote and raise money for. So if somebody, is buying, fixing homes and selling them, making money, and he or she feels I can do 3 at a time, 5 at a time, we can set them up. It will take their game. It will shorten their financial life. Instead of 15 years to achieve their goal, will be 3 years.
Got it.
If they are in business, like I've had in business and say, I want to grow my business. I don't know how to set up people to invest with me. The formal way, the legal way in the United States is to file a private placement memorandum, go to a regulation by the Security and Exchange Commission, file it with them in the state where they are to be able to raise money, internationally even, to do it the right way. It's actually so powerful and so simple. It protects the investor that's coming in. It protects the person setting up. And it's all blessed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. That's the way to do it. You do it privately without setting up properly. You have a mistake, you could go to jail. It's an activity that's regulated in this country. And I've seen people do it the wrong way, and something goes wrong, they're sued, they have issues with it. I mean, you do things right, you go a long way. You do things wrong, it's short-lived,
Most definitely. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Path to Passive. We love connecting with our listeners and those on the path to architecting their wealth and improving their lives. Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see in the future episodes. Get in touch with us through email or Instagram. See you next week for a new episode.